more of the X gene, if you have more of the X gene, it's going to be female. I'm talking rubbish now, aren't
No, you're
I?
not actually. I think
All
you're
right.
pretty much there. You're pretty much there, cuz. What it
All
is, to
right.
put it in as non-technical terms,
Right.
um, the male sperm contains either the Y gene or the
Yeah.
X gene. The
Right.
female egg always and only has the X gene. So it's the male sperm which determines the sex of the baby. So to just illustrate that, if the male sperm which fertilizes the egg, bearing in mind it's one sperm out of up to 120 million per milliliter of sperm of
Yeah.
fluid, then if it's carrying the Y gene, then and mates with the X gene in the egg, it will be a man. If it's carrying the X gene, then there's two X genes, so it'll be a woman. And it's actually quite an interesting thing statistically, isn't it? That I'll ask you another question. In the world generally, what is thought to be, and it's a pretty accurate assessment, I believe, because they do it every sort of few years based on a number of countries. What is the general split of male to female in the world, in the known world, if you like?
Right. Is it 53 to 47? So 53 females to 43 male.
Yeah, I mean
57.
that's an
Yeah.
excellent guess.
Is it?
And let's face it, it's often been around there. I always understood that it was like generally 51% female, 49% male.
All
But in
right.
fact, more recent ones, I think the latest one, which was kind of measured in possibly in the last at the end of last year, I believe, a measurement was taken of 74 countries, which is a very good statistical sample for the world. Then it's fractionally over 50% male, fractionally under 50% female. So it's a very close split. And exactly the same percentages are true. We won't say of the UK because what is measured here is in the last census in 2021 was England and Wales. So in
Right.
England and Wales, and again, it's just over 50%, 50.3, I think, males and 49.7 females. So we in England and Wales, at least, and probably in the UK, it's going to be similar, excuse me, are very similar to the world percentage. And I sometimes, when I thought about this before, you've got to say it's something incredible, given how the sex of a baby is determined, which we've already said about
Yeah.
the gene that the man's sperm is carrying, it comes out almost exactly as a 50-50 split. Now, maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's the most logical thing to happen. Maybe it's not necessarily logical. I mean, it's often said you can toss a coin 50 times. I've never tried it. I ought to. I probably will because I want to see what happens. And the statistics say that it will normally come out to roughly 25 heads, 25 tails. It may, give or take two or three. But you've got to wonder why the laws of probability happen in that way. But why should
Right.
it be? Why isn't there like 70% females, 30% males? We males might prefer it like that, mightn't we? Or
Well,
the other way around, the
yeah.
females would. But it's not. And it's just a strange fact of statistics that is how it happens. Anyway, be that as it may, that is how it happens. So let's think about female characteristics. Well, physical characteristics are that women characteristics are that women have wider a wider pelvis, they have broader hips and larger breasts. And of course, all that facilitates childbearing and breastfeeding. So they're created, if you like, designed for that as a fundamental purpose. Not every woman follows through with that, but that's the fundamental design. It may sound surprising to say they have larger breasts than men, but the reason for that is that men do technically we do have breast tissue. And when babies are born, they both have the same amount of breast tissue. Of course,
Yeah.
in puberty, women then start to develop breasts, whereas the testosterone in the boys tends to stop that happening. But there are conditions, quite unusual, where that doesn't happen if there's a hormonal imbalance, something like that. If, for example, a male has more estrogen, because we all have testosterone and estrogen in
Yeah.
different amounts, but if a male had a bit more out of balance, then he could develop breasts. And I think that's a condition, something like gynecomastia. Try saying that when you've had a drink, but it is something something like that. So they're the physical characteristics: the pelvis, the hips, and the larger breasts than men. Also, they tend to have less body hair. Obviously, facial hair they don't have so much. Women tend to be shorter. They have a higher fat composition as part of their design, if you like.
Yeah.
They're not as strong as men because they don't have the same muscle density. And as we say about they're shorter, we looked last week at the average heights of men, 5'10" or 178 centimeters. Women were, I think, 5'4", which is about 162. So they're the main differences. Okay, so they're the physical characteristics of the female. Now, what about the traits, the female traits in personality and social, that side of things? Can you name some of those things that you think women have as part of their makeup, part of the traits of being female in their how they are in life? I'll start off to see what I'm saying. Say they're very nurturing. Women tend, and all this is generalization, but it is mainly the case, very nurturing. So can you come up with some other parts of their personality traits at all?
I think this is probably along the lines of, nurturing that you said, and it's caring. They're very, very caring because there's what they call mother's instinct, isn't it? Where, a mother would see something going wrong, even